Have you ever heard of a woman who escaped poverty by simply stopping one seemingly insignificant daily task? A task you probably do yourself every day. And she discovered the secret quite by accident. Kathryn Kuhlman was washing dishes after 9 o'clock one night when she felt something strange. A heavy presence seemed to have settled in her kitchen. It felt as though every drop of water cascading down the dishes was carrying something precious away. She stopped, looked down at her soapy hands, and then she heard it. A voice that wasn't a voice, a whisper that wasn't sound, speaking something that would change not only her life, but the lives of millions who would follow her teachings. Have you ever felt like something is blocking the money in your life? Like there's an invisible barrier between you and the prosperity that should be yours? What Kathryn discovered that night in 1952 will shock you, because the answer was right there, in front of her, in her kitchen sink. At the time, she chose to do something as simple as washing dishes. But before I tell you exactly what she heard, I need you to understand something about money that almost no one tells you. Money isn't just energy. It's energy that flows, like water. And like water, it can be blocked, redirected, or contaminated by things you can't even imagine. Kathryn Kuhlman knew this. She'd spent years studying the spiritual patterns behind prosperity. She'd seen people who prayed, fasted, tithed, and remained broke. She'd seen others who didn't seem to try as hard, but money flowed to them like a magnet. The difference wasn't in what they did, it was in what they didn't do. And that night, washing dishes after 9, she finally understood. The water streamed down the dirty plates. The clock read 9:15 p.m. And suddenly, she felt as if she were draining not just the grime from the dishes, but something much deeper. Something to do with receiving, with deserving, with allowing blessings to reach her. That's when the voice whispered, "You are washing away what I want to give you." Imagine discovering that a simple habit, something you do automatically, could be creating an invisible barrier between you and abundance. Kathryn dropped the sponge right then and there. And she never did it again after 9 o'clock. 6 months later, she received the largest donation in the history of her ministry. Coincidence? She didn't believe in coincidences. You're probably wondering, how can that be? It's just washing dishes. What does that have to do with money? The answer will surprise you, because it has everything to do with what happens energetically in your home after the sun sets, with what it spiritually signifies when you remove, cleanse, and drain energy from something during the hours designated for receiving. Kathryn taught this in secret to a few close people who later became financially prosperous in inexplicable ways. They stopped doing this simple thing after 9, and they began to see changes so rapid it was almost frightening. One of them was Margaret, a widow who could barely afford rent. Margaret heard Kathryn talk about this in a private conversation after a meeting. She thought it was strange, but decided to try it. Margaret always washed the dinner dishes after 9 because that's when she finally had time, after putting the kids to bed. But that night, she left everything in the sink. She woke up early the next morning and washed everything before 7 a.m. In the second week of doing this, she received an unexpected call, an inheritance from a distant aunt she barely remembered. $12,000. In 1953, that was a fortune. Coincidence? Margaret never believed in coincidences again. But what really happens when you wash dishes after 9 o'clock at night? What's so powerful about that time that it could block the financial flow in your life? The answer lies in the ancient wisdom Kathryn studied for decades. Wisdom she combined with spiritual revelation to create one of the most prosperous ministries of her time. I'll explain, but first, I want you to think about something. Have you noticed that financially prosperous people have different nighttime habits? They don't do certain things after certain times. And it's not just about organizations or discipline. It's because they know, intuitively or through learning, that there's an energetic dynamic in homes that changes dramatically when it gets dark. Kathryn discovered that after 9 o'clock at night, her home entered what she called reception mode. It's when your residence becomes more receptive to blessings, opportunities, prosperous ideas, and even angelic visitations. But when you wash dishes at that time, you are symbolically washing away that receptivity. Think of the sink as the energetic heart of your kitchen, and the kitchen as the center of nourishment and abundance in your home. When you use running water to remove, cleanse, and drain after 9, you're creating an outflow at the very moment you should be creating an inflow. It's like trying to fill a bucket while poking holes in the bottom. Kathryn sensed this energetically. She felt when she was washing away the blessings that were trying to reach her. And the most impressive thing, she began to teach this to other people, discreetly, like a secret shared only with those she knew would take it seriously. Dr. Robert Thompson, a doctor who attended her meetings, decided to test it. He always washed the dinner dishes before bed, usually around 10 o'clock. It was an organizational habit he'd maintained for years. But after hearing Kathryn, he changed. He started leaving the dishes for the next morning, or washing everything before 8 o'clock. In 3 months, he received an offer to become a partner in a clinic that completely changed his financial situation. It may seem absurd, but Dr. Thompson was a man of science. He knew there are energies that medicine doesn't yet fully explain, and he'd seen inexplicable results in Kathryn's healing ministries. To know that she understood things that went beyond conventional knowledge. The truth is that Kathryn had discovered something that few understood at the time, and that even today, 70 years later, most people completely ignore. The flow of abundance in a house follows specific energetic patterns, and these patterns change dramatically between day and night. During the day, especially in the morning, it's time for action, for movement, for doing. That's when you should clean, organize, prepare. That's when the energetic flow favors the removal of what no longer serves you. But after 9 o'clock at night, the energy changes. Everything changes. Your home enters a state the ancients called nighttime receptivity. It's when opportunities draw near. It's when prosperous ideas arrive. It's when synchronicities align to unfold the following day. And when you're there, at the sink, washing, scrubbing, draining water, you're creating energetic resistance against all of that. Have you ever had those incredible ideas that strike in the dead of night? Those inspirations that seem to come from nowhere when you're relaxed, ready for sleep? That's no coincidence. It's your mind connecting with the field of possibilities that opens when you stop doing and start receiving. But if you're at the sink, focused on removing dirt, draining dirty water, scrubbing food scraps, you're operating on the frequency of removal, on the energy of discard, of what goes out, not what comes in. Kathryn Kuhlman understood this viscerally. And she saw how this small habit change transformed not only her financial life, but the lives of dozens who followed her guidance. Sarah Mitchell was a secretary at a small company. She was always in the red, perpetually owing something. But Sarah had something special. She deeply believed in Kathryn Kuhlman's spiritual teachings. When Kathryn Kuhlman shared this secret in a private meeting, Sarah was one of the first to implement it. She completely stopped washing dishes after 8:30 p.m. What happened in the following week surprised even Kathryn Kuhlman. Sarah began receiving offers for better jobs. Not 1, but 3 offers in less than a month. People she barely knew started offering opportunities that seemed to appear out of thin air. The most impressive happened while she was walking home. One Tuesday night, a well-dressed man approached her on the street and asked if she wanted to work as his wife's personal assistant. The salary he offered was 3 times what she was earning. Strange, Very. But Sarah accepted and discovered the man owned several prosperous businesses in the city. Kathryn Kuhlman wasn't surprised when she heard. She knew that when you stop blocking the flow, opportunities begin to arrive in ways that defy logic. But there's something even deeper to this discovery by Kathryn Kuhlman, something she only shared with very few people. The act of washing dishes after 9 o'clock doesn't just block financial opportunities, it blocks something far more subtle and powerful: your ability to recognize the blessings that are already trying to reach you. How many times have you missed an opportunity because you weren't on the right frequency to notice it? How many times has someone tried to help you, offer you something, connect you with something good, but you were mentally preoccupied, energetically unavailable? When you wash dishes after 9, you're not just doing a household chore, you're training your mind to operate in removal mode during the hours that should be for reception. And then, when opportunities arrive, you don't see them, or you see them, but don't feel you deserve them, or you feel you deserve them, but don't know how to receive them. Kathryn Kuhlman realized that the financially prosperous people she knew had something in common. They knew how to receive, not just to give, not just to work, not just to strive. They knew how to energetically position themselves to receive blessings. And that included knowing when to stop doing, when to stop cleaning, when to stop removing, especially after 9 o'clock at night. Now, take a deep breath, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you view your home, your nighttime habits, and especially how you relate to prosperity. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that there's a specific time when our home becomes a portal for blessings, opportunities, and synchronicities that can transform our financial lives overnight. That time begins precisely at 9 o'clock at night. But it's not just about not washing dishes. It's about understanding that after 9, your home needs to be energetically prepared to receive. And any activity involving removal, discarding, or draining creates resistance against this receptivity. Kathryn Kuhlman tested this in every way possible. She stopped washing not only dishes, but anything after 9. She stopped cleaning the bathroom. She stopped taking out the trash. She stopped sweeping. She stopped doing any activity that symbolically represented the outflow of energy. The result was so dramatic that she was startled. In 6 months, donations to her ministry tripled. People started appearing offering help, resources, connections. Opportunities she had never dreamed of began to materialize as if someone had turned on a celestial faucet. But the most impressive wasn't the external results. It was what happened internally with her. Kathryn Kuhlman began to dream of solutions to financial problems. She woke up with clear ideas on how to increase the ministry's income. She received insights about people who could help her, even before meeting them. It was as if her financial intuition had been amplified tenfold. And it wasn't just her. Everyone who followed this guidance reported the same phenomenon: an increased ability to perceive opportunities, to recognize the right people, to be in the right place at the right time. Dr. Helena Morrison, one of the few people Kathryn Kuhlman personally trained in these practices, described it this way: "It's like I've spent my whole life walking around financially blindfolded, and suddenly the blindfold came off." Helena was a dentist, but her clinic was always on the brink. She had patience, but she could never truly prosper. When she implemented the 9 o'clock rule, everything changed. First, she began to realize she was charging too little for her services, something she had never noticed before. She raised her prices, and to her surprise, the patients didn't complain. Some even said they found it strange she had charged so little before. Then she began to attract a different kind of patient. People with better financial situations who paid in cash and even referred friends. Within a year, Helena had the most prosperous clinic in the region. Coincidence? Helena stopped believing in coincidences in the 3rd month of results. But why specifically 9 o'clock at night? Why not 8 or 10 or 11? Kathryn Kuhlman explained that 9 o'clock at night is what she called the spiritual transition hour. It's when the energy of the day, which is focused on action and movement, gives way to the energy of the night, which is focused on reception and manifestation. In ancient traditions, 9 o'clock at night was considered the beginning of the sacred hours. It was when temples prepared to receive divine visitations. That's when homes became sanctuaries, ready for blessings. And Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that this ancient wisdom had a powerful practical application in modern life. When you respect this transitional time, you're aligning yourself with an energetic rhythm that favors prosperity. When you ignore it, you're swimming against a spiritual current that can make attracting abundance much harder. But there's a secret within the secret. Something Kathryn only taught 3 people in her entire lifetime. It's not enough to simply stop doing removal activities after 9. You need to replace those activities with something specific. Kathryn called it a receptivity ritual. It was simple but powerful. After 9 o'clock at night, she would sit in her kitchen for exactly 7 minutes in silence and mentally invite financial blessings into her home. It wasn't prayer in the traditional sense. It was more like opening an energetic door and making it clear that she was available to receive. During those 7 minutes, she visualized her home as a magnet for prosperous opportunities. She imagined golden streams of abundance flowing in through the door, through the windows, filling every room. And it worked. The 3 people who learned this specific ritual became financially independent in less than 2 years. Each of them. One was a teacher who lived paycheck to paycheck. Another was a shopkeeper who could barely keep the store open. The third was a widow with 3 children who relied on church charity. They all became prosperous, following exactly what Kathryn taught. The teacher started receiving offers to tutor wealthy families. The shopkeeper attracted an investor partner who turned the store into a chain. The widow discovered she was entitled to a pension that no one had mentioned before. But the most striking thing was how these opportunities arrived. Always unexpectedly. Always through people or situations that seemed to appear out of nowhere. As if the universe was conspiring to bring them to them. And maybe it was. Kathryn believed that when you create the right energetic environment in your home, you're not just attracting money. You're attracting synchronicities. You're becoming a point of attraction for people, ideas, and circumstances that can transform your financial reality. But this only works if you understand one fundamental thing. Prosperity isn't about deserving or not deserving. It's about being energetically available to receive, and most people aren't. They're always doing, always cleaning, always removing, always keeping themselves busy, especially at night, when they should be preparing to receive. It's like trying to hear a whispered conversation in a noisy environment. Blessings are trying to arrive, but you can't perceive them because you're energetically preoccupied with other things. Kathryn saw this constantly. People who prayed for prosperity while doing things that energetically blocked their ability to receive the prosperity they were asking for. It was frustrating for her because the solution was so simple. Stop doing removal activities after 9 o'clock at night. Create a moment of conscious receptivity and watch how your financial reality begins to change. But there's a detail she always emphasized. This isn't magic. It's alignment. You're not forcing the universe to give you money. You're putting yourself in harmony with the energetic laws that govern prosperity. And these laws are as real as the law of gravity. You can ignore them, but they continue to operate. The difference is that when you understand them and align with them, everything becomes easier. Opportunities appear. The right people arrive. Prosperous ideas emerge. And when you ignore them, you can work hard at your whole life and continue to struggle financially. Kathryn saw this happen thousands of times. People who followed all the conventional financial advice, but completely ignored the energetic dynamics of prosperity, and remained frustrated, confused about why money wasn't coming to them. The answer was in the little things, in the seemingly insignificant habits, in what they did after 9 o'clock at night. And now, the question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? You might think it's silly, that washing dishes after 9 has nothing to do with money, and you can continue doing exactly what you've always done. Or you can try, for a week, 2 weeks, a month. Stop doing removal activities after 9 o'clock at night. Create a moment of conscious receptivity. And observe. Observe if opportunities start appearing differently. If people start approaching with unexpected offers. If prosperous ideas start emerging more frequently. Kathryn always said, faith without works is dead, but works without energetic alignment are useless. You can work 16 hours a day. You can take all the prosperity courses that exist. You can apply all the manifestation techniques you've learned. But if you continue creating energetic resistance in your home during the hours that were intended for reception, you're swimming against a current much stronger than you imagine. And maybe it's time to stop swimming against the current. Maybe it's time to discover what it's like to float in the flow of abundance. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered this one night in 1952, washing dishes after 9 o'clock. And it changed not only her life, but the lives of everyone who had the wisdom to listen. Now, look at your sink, look at the clock, and ask yourself, am I washing away the blessings that could transform my life? The answer may be closer than you think. In fact, it may be exactly where you are right now, in your kitchen, waiting for you to stop draining and start receiving.